Rosemary, and you are right on time for yoga. Today I'd like to show you a little bit of what my yoga practice looks like when I want to give myself a gift overall from head to toe. And I actually begin my practice with a few things that have less to do with the body and more to prepare my spirit. I like to have a scent. It can be a lotion for your hands. In my case today, I'm using a spray, which is called Bliss Mist. It's a combination of different essential oils that are designed to encourage a feeling of bliss, and who wouldn't want a little more of that? So I just spray it a little bit around myself and around the space to set a clearing, as it were, so that any of the energies outside of me that are not bliss do not come into my practice space. Something else that I sometimes do, I have different decks of cards that have phrases of affirmation and inspiration. And so today I pulled a card before this practice, and the deck of cards is called Aging Beautifully, from a company called 60 and Me, and I'll leave the information at the end in case you're interested. This card says, don't reinvent yourself, become yourself. And on the back the text says, reinvention isn't about change, it's about discovery. It's about learning to embrace your life and live well. After so many years, isn't it time to let go of other people's expectations? Let go of the past and embrace your truth. So that's don't reinvent yourself, become yourself. So take a moment, if you will. Your feet are flat on the floor, shoulders up and back and down. Just close your eyes for a moment. Bring yourself here into the present in your practice and consider those words. Don't reinvent yourself. Embrace yourself. All that you are on this day, in this place. No need for change. It's time to embrace all that you are. Let's open our eyes, and as we practice today, let's keep that in mind. Your practice is exactly right for who you are today, for what your body is and can do on this day. So let's begin by sitting up nice and tall and dignified. Your feet are flat on the floor. Take a deep breath here, and as you exhale, allow your chin to float toward your chest. And just staying here for a moment, feeling the stretch in the back of the neck. And if you will, as you inhale, roll your head so that your ear comes close to one shoulder. And you can take a look at me. I'll do it again. Your chin is down. You inhale as you gently roll your head to one shoulder. And you bring it back down to center. Now inhale and gently roll to the other side. Your ear is near your shoulder, stretching out the side of the neck. Come back down to center. Very slowly roll to the other side until you find that spot where you can feel a stretch in the side of your neck. And then once you're here, just taking your arm out to the side. It gives us a little bit of a deeper stretch in the side of the neck. Nothing too intense. We're just warming up and coming back to center. Pause for a moment just to notice, does this side of the neck feel a little bit different than the other? But we'll try it to the other side. Chin floats down to the chest. Very slowly and gently roll your ear to the opposite shoulder. Staying here for a moment, finding your comfortable spot. And once you're there, arm comes out to the side, giving a little longer stretch to the neck and this side of the body. And you can open and close your hands a few times. Chin comes back to center. From here, turn to look over one shoulder. Not too far, just gently twisting. Coming back to center, turn to look over the opposite shoulder. And back to center. Do that once or twice more on your own breath. Just testing out your range of motion as we begin the practice. And the next time you come to the side, pause there and gently just nod your head up and down 2 or 3 times. Come back to center, twist to the other side, and gently nod your head up and down, and coming back to center. Take your shoulders up and back and down. We spend so much time bent over in our day that we focus on rolling the shoulders back. Maybe take one shoulder back at a time, whatever feels good here. Roll your shoulders forward for a moment to take them up and back and pause. Come up and forward, up and back. Let's do that once more. Up and forward, up and back. And just shake that out a little bit. Bringing your hands into a prayer position at the heart center, pressing the hands against one another. So equal force pressing on each side. From here, pushing your hands to one side, and you're resisting as you do this, so it's not easy. And once you are here, turn and look in the opposite direction, still pressing your hands one against the other. Come back to center. Now push in the opposite direction, each hand pushing against the other, and when you are here, turn to look in the opposite direction, pressing with force and strength, one hand against the other, coming back to center. The hands come up, arms open out into cactus arms, and from here, bringing the elbows in and out, a few times opening the chest, opening the back, and coming back to heart center. Let's try that again. Push both hands one against the other, push in one direction and look in the opposite direction. Back to center. Push in the opposite direction and look over the other shoulder. Come back to center. Hands come up and out. Now bringing them all the way down to your waist level, elbows close to the body, palms are facing up, and just gently cross one hand over the other, rotating the shoulder joint in and out. And let that down. Do anything that feels good to your body just to loosen it up a little bit. Loosening the spine. So from this position, and you can take your feet a little wider, if that feels more comfortable. Remember, any part of your body where you've had injury or you feel some limitation, if the movement that I do feels too intense, then back away. Maybe you can go a little smaller, a little slower, or just don't do that movement at all. We're doing a few cat-cows. So when we do a cow, we inhale and come forward, showing our proud heart to the world, a small arch in the back if that feels comfortable. We exhale, rounding the spine, chin tucks down as though you wanted to kiss your navel. Inhale, proud heart. Maybe the chin comes up a little bit, it doesn't have to. Exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin, kiss the navel. Inhale, proud heart. Exhale, kiss your navel. And coming back to center. To stretch the side body, bringing one arm up, holding on to the side of the chair for support. If you have any shoulder limitations, then you can keep your hand on your shoulder. But if not, arm is up. Inhale here, and as you exhale, leaning over as much as feels comfortable until you feel the stretch in your side body. Inhale and come up. Exhale and lean. Inhale up. Exhale and lean, and stay here now. From here, turn your face, your shoulders, and your chest so that you are now looking down at the floor and your arm is reaching off to the side, reaching for something in the distance, feeling the stretch across the entire side body. Take a breath here. And gently coming up, and the arm comes down. Let's do 1 or 2 cat-cows, just to bring the spine back into neutral. And pause here, noticing the difference perhaps between one side of the body and the other. Let's try that on the other side, holding on to the chair for support, lifting one arm. Inhale here, and as you exhale, leaning over. Inhale up. Exhale, lean. Perhaps you notice that on one side you can lean a little more or a little less. Leaning over. Inhale up. Leaning in. Staying here. And now turning your face and your chest and your shoulders. Arm stretches out to the side, reaching for something in the distance. Feeling the stretch across the side body all the way down to the hip. Take a breath. And coming up and releasing. Do a couple of cat-cows to come back to neutral. A gentle twist for the side body, taking one hand, placing it on the opposite knee. The other hand comes to the chair behind you. Inhale, sitting up nice and tall, and turn to look over your shoulder. Think about the twist coming from the shoulders and deeper down into the belly. Take a breath here. Coming back to center. Let's try that on the other side. Other hand comes to the opposite knee. Hand on the chair behind you. Sit up tall. Inhale. And as you exhale, twist to look over the other shoulder. This is a great pose for digestion because think about it, you're twisting your belly and giving it just that little bit of boost. And coming back to center. 1 or 2 cat-cows. From here, you can bring your feet a little bit closer together. Just take your hands out in front of you. Pretend that you're washing your hands. Doing that motion, give your hands a little bit of a massage. And while you're doing that, I invite you to think about the intention that we set for today, reminding yourself, don't reinvent yourself, become yourself. Opening and closing the hands a few times, rotating in one direction and in the other, become yourself. Bringing your hands down to your lap, pausing for just a moment, close your eyes, taking a breath here. As you exhale, just say in your mind, become yourself. Do that once more, breathing in. Only this time say, become myself. What would that look like? You can open your eyes. Doing a little work on the lower body. You can sit back in your chair if you want some extra support, or you can sit forward. If you feel your back starting to feel a little uncomfortable, then maybe you want to sit back for extra support. So we begin by taking one foot out in front of us and point and flex that foot. When you flex, you pull the toes back toward you. So pointing the toes away, bringing them back once or twice. Turning the ankle in one direction, and you probably hear it crackling. Take it in the other direction. That's okay, as long as it doesn't hurt, right? And bringing that foot back down. Let's do it on the other side. Taking that foot out in front of you, point the toes away, pull them back to flex. When you flex, you can feel the stretch in the back of the leg, the calf muscle. So this is good, especially if you've worn heels most of your life. Turning the ankle in one direction and the other. I don't wear heels anymore. Maybe the tiniest heel if I'm forced to, but I love flats. And bring that down. Let's try both legs. All right, so bringing both legs up, point the toes out, flex them toward you, point, flex. And now from a flexed position, take your toes out like a penguin and turn them in like a pigeon, out and in. And this rotation travels all the way up the leg, all the way into the hip, and let that down and shake that out. You're also working your quadricep and your core by having to hold up the weight of your legs. Now, for this next part, you can hold the back of your leg if you need the support to do that. So you can try it that way, and then if you don't feel as though you need that support, you can just keep your hands at the side of your chair. So I'll show you what that looks like. Picking up your leg, putting it down, right? You can hold on, but you don't have to. So what we will do is either leg, pick up the leg, kicking your heel out as though you were kicking something away from you, but using your heel to do it. Bring it back in and place it down. Let's try that again. Lifting the foot, kicking away from your heel. So you see how you can see my foot flat? Coming back in and down. And remember, you can hold your leg if you would like a little extra support for your quadricep muscle. That's just fine. And my knee pops when I do this. Shake that out. We'll try it on the other side. Lifting the leg, kicking out with the heel, in and down, up, out, in and down. And remember, give it some support with your hands if you need to. That's totally fine. There is no measure of what's good enough when we do yoga. It's what your body needs. That's how we honor our bodies. To work the inner and outer thigh, lifting the opposite leg now, taking it out and in and down. So again, you can use your hand up, out, in and down, up, out, in and down. Once more, up, out, in and down. Then shake that out. On the other side, up, out, in, down, up, out, in, and down. Take a moment to notice your posture. If you've collapsed over, bringing your shoulders back up. Nice, tall body. I think that was 4, but I'm putting an extra one in just in case, and shake them out. Taking the other knee, and you can do this holding the front of the knee or behind the knee, gently pulling it up a few times, sort of into the chest, but not rounded over. You're still sitting up straight. Now taking that ankle and placing it on the opposite knee. This pose will look different for many of us. This is a seated pigeon. A few things to know. Have the foot here on your knee be flexed. That helps to protect your knee. Now, if you have very open hips, you can probably get your leg to a much more, I guess that's perpendicular, horizontal position than I can, because I have tightness in this hip, but that's okay. Wherever your leg feels comfortable. This may not feel comfortable at all, and let me just show you a variation. If you find that putting your foot on your knee feels a little too intense, then just put your foot on your opposite ankle. It still opens up the hip, but in a less intense way. But if you don't have any pain, putting that ankle back across the knee, taking your fingers and interlocking them on the outside of the knee, still trying to sit up as straight as possible, and just pulling in on your knee very gently, as though you were cradling a child, and we're just loosening up the hip, just opening up the hip. And if you were down here, then you would just move a little bit. It's still working the hip wherever you are. Pause for a moment, just placing your hands here on the hip. This is called a seated pigeon pose, and it is one of the deepest hip openers that we do. All right, and so for today, taking that knee back in toward the chest, holding underneath or on top, and just pulling it in a few times, kicking it out with the heel, and letting it come down. And oh boy, just give that a nice shake, maybe take it in and out if that feels okay. That's a lot of work for that leg. Let's try it on the other side. So we begin just by pulling the knee into the chest a few times, sitting up nice and tall. Hand can be underneath the knee or on the outside, whatever feels better for you. From here, taking the ankle and placing it on the opposite knee. And notice, how does that feel? Does it feel different than the other hip? It does for me. I can get a little closer to horizontal on this side because the hip is a little more open. Interlocking the fingers, placing them around the knee, and pulling in gently. Little movements. You don't have to do much at all. Remember, as though you are cradling a child. And pausing here, gently placing both hands on top of the leg. Just taking a breath, seeing how this feels. And now we can take the knee in or hold it underneath. Take the foot out and let that down. And just shake the knees out. Give that a good shake. To stretch the back and the shoulders, we're going to try a pose that is very common in yoga practice on the mat called downward facing dog. But when we use a chair, it's a different pose in the way that it looks. And give me a moment and I'll show you. So standing up from your chair, please watch me all the way through before we try it together. So holding on to the back of your chair, and you need a little bit of room behind you. What I invite you to do, you'll walk back. And as you're walking back, do you see how I'm beginning to bend? Nothing hurts. I would stop wherever I would start to feel discomfort or pain. But if you don't, you can keep walking back until you come to a point where your head can come down either between your arms or at least the intention. This may feel like a lot of stretch in the back of the legs, and so it's a good idea to please bend your knees softly. And when we come up, you just look at your chair and walk up. So that's what downward dog looks like when we stand and use a chair. So please try it with me. Move your chair in front of you, holding on to the chair. You want it to be supportive because you don't want to pull on the chair and have it collapse on you. Take a breath here. As you exhale, begin to walk back. And you can also do this by a kitchen counter at any time in the day when you feel you need to stretch your back. Keep your knees soft. Think about your hips reaching for the wall that is behind you. Your tailbone reaching for the wall behind you. You can feel this throughout the back, into the shoulders, into the armpits. We'll only stay here for one more breath. Now look at your chair and begin to walk up to the chair. Holding on here for a moment, just take yourself up on your toes and come down. And once more, come up on your toes and come down. And to loosen up the back from that stretch, let's just do a couple of hula hoops. So hands on your hips, turning in one direction and turning in the other direction. Coming back to your chair. And as we complete today's practice, for a moment, take your hands in your lap, gently close your eyes, and let's recall the intention. I'll read it again as you just take a few gentle breaths with your eyes softly closed. Don't reinvent yourself. Become yourself. Reinvention isn't about change. It's about discovery. It's about learning to embrace your true self. After so many years, isn't it time to let go of other people's expectations? Let go of the past and embrace your truth. And you can open your eyes. Let's end by taking an inhale. The arms come out and up. Exhale as the arms float down to the side. Once more, inhale, the arms come up. And when you reach the top, hands are in a prayer position, coming down past the eyes, the mouth, the throat, and stopping at the heart center. Thank you for joining me for You Are Right on Time for Yoga. I hope you have enjoyed this glimpse into what my yoga practice looks like, and I hope to learn more about your yoga practice. We end by wishing each other Namaste. The light that lives in me honors and recognizes the light that lives in each of you. Have a wonderful day.